Glad to be here today. Another Sabbath day, another day to come together, to keep it holy, and to rest a little bit. Did y'all rest a little bit? Okay, y'all know the routine. This is the routine now, so y'all better get used to it. We're going to be singing on Sabbath classes, so we want you guys to join in. Join in with us and clap with us. Be happy in the Most High. All right, so this is True Nation Praise Ensemble for those who are new. And we're just going to open it up with just a little bit of just worship and praise and giving the Most High all the glory and the honor that is due to him, right? Because he deserves the praise, the honor, the glory, all of the above, everything from us, from inside out. So we're going to do it today, and I don't know if AV is ready, but we're ready. This song is called Emmanuel. Who knows what Emmanuel means? God with us, Yahweh with us. So we're going to sing that for you guys today, and we're going to give him the glory and the praise. All right. We got Bishop Yatab up here with us, featuring. He keeps saying he featuring, but keep coming to our rehearsals and jumping in. So you about to just be a part. Yes.
We're live.
This is a new one for us, so y'all bear with us. We're going to do our best, okay?
Mic check.
Mic check.
Everybody mic check. Your top. We ready, y'all. Thank you. All right, come on, y'all. Y'all can do a little cha-cha to this song. Stand on your feet. We're going to do a little cha-cha for y'all if you don't. Come on. Hey. Come on, y'all, say. All right, right there. Say, come.
Come, let us adore him, kneel down before him, worship and adore him.
Say, come.
Come, let us adore him, kneel down before him, worship and adore him. Emmanuel, 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 Emmanuel.
Cha-cha, cha-cha. We worship you. Oh, we worship you. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, and His Son, Yahweh Shai. Thank you, Father.
Hey, Max. Max. That was good? A little bit? All right.
All right, all right. Man, it's a blessing to, just be living. Thankful to the Most High. Thankful that we have knowledge of the fact that we got to keep these laws. Yep. Know somebody might look at us and say, oh, they going back to the bootleg church. They singing. I see singing in this book. I see singing in our history. It's a lot of things that we've disassociated ourselves from that we don't need to disassociate ourselves from. You know, we need to strengthen ourselves in those things. But it definitely doesn't negate the fact that we got to be strong when it comes down to keeping these commandments. We got to make sure that we hold this as the primary thing. All right? Matter of fact, get that. Get Ecclesiastes chapter 12.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12. You want verse 13?
Yep, and get straight to it.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter.
The conclusion of the whole matter. At the end of the day, as many things as we talk about and we think that are so important, sometimes we think so many things in life are more important than what they actually really are. All right? Watch this read. Go ahead.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments.
So he said, fear the Most High and keep his commandments. Go ahead.
For this is the whole duty of man.
That's the whole duty of man. So, the lesson that we're going through today, Colossians 2:16 breakdown. Colossians 2:16. We're going to break it down. Let's go there. Colossians chapter 2, verse 16.
But Colossians chapter 2 and verse 16.
Yes, sir.
Let no man therefore judge you in meat.
So people, hold on. How many of y'all have heard this? Let no man judge you in what you eat. I can eat any meat. If I want to eat pork, I can eat pork. Right? New Testament, right? Read it one more time out.
Everything's good, nothing to be defied.
Go ahead.
Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink, or in respect of an holy day,
Go ahead.
or of the new moon, or the Sabbath days, which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Christ.
So, a lot of folks take that, they'll run with that, and that'll be all she wrote. So let's get a better understanding of exactly what's being spoken about right here. Go to Romans chapter 7 and verse 1. Book of Romans, chapter 7 and verse 1.
Book of Romans, chapter 7 and verse 1.
Go ahead.
Know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law.
Hold on. He said, I'm speaking to those that know the law. See, oftentimes what happens, you got a lot of folks that chime in, jump into the conversation, and they don't know what's going on. Have you ever had that happen to you? You in a conversation, somebody takes it upon themselves to jump in your conversation and have an opinion, and their opinion doesn't pertain at all to what it is that you're actually talking about.
Well,
Right? Read it one more time.
know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law.
So Paul said off top, he said, I'm speaking to those that know the law. It's so many times people come with their own interpretations of what this Bible says, simply because they haven't taken the time to actually figure out what this Bible states from the very beginning. Everybody that knows a little bit of something about the Bible understands that one of the first things that's given in this collection of books, because that's what Bible means, right? Books. The first thing that's given is a thing called law. Now, if you fall for the okie doke and somebody convinces you and says, look, we ain't got to keep the law no more, and you fall for that, right, without ever actually going and researching and reading for yourself, where's that going to leave you? Right? Should be real cautious. Somebody tells me, hey, you know what? We're going to read this book, but we're going to open it towards the end. Not even the dead center middle part, but we're going to read it towards the end. Then how are you going to be able to fully understand the entirety of the book and what it's conveying? And even more so, how are you going to be able to enjoy the book? Because that's another thing. A lot of times we were out in the streets today, and it was one particular a man that was speaking, and he kept on speaking in terms of ideology versus, I forgot what other word he used. Ideology versus something. Versus lineage, the water. And his whole thing that he was pushing, he was saying, like, you know what? He was like, I did time in the pen. He was like, look, I was in bondage. The way I was taught as a kid coming up, out of this Bible, it put me in bondage. And I kind of wanted to escape that bondage. I was finally able to escape it. And I said, well, cool, that might have been what you needed for that moment, and that got you through that moment, but this is your opportunity to open up a new chapter. Now, I said, look here, brother, I'm not going to sit up here and sugarcoat it. This Bible can be very oppressive to those that don't want to follow what it says. If you don't find value in it, if you don't see what is in it that will allow us to be successful, then it will definitely seem oppressive. But if you value the things that's in this book, then it won't be oppressive at all. The law is meant to give you guidelines on what you can, should, and should not do. Now, the thing is, you call this thing the Holy Spirit or the Holy Ghost, right? It ain't that thing that you start foaming at the mouth with. It's a spirit of truth. It's a spirit of wisdom. It's a spirit of excellency. It's a spirit of reasoning and understanding, right? So now once you start to operate and move in that spirit, right? You remember it talks about the fruits of the spirit, right? You start exercising and exemplifying the fruits of the spirit. What do those fruits look like? Huh? It looked, absolutely. But watch this. I'll give you an example. Fruits of the spirit versus the opposite is works of the flesh. Give me a work of the flesh. Go ahead. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that was a good one. Lust. Lust. Give me another one. Huh? Lying. Absolutely. Now, we got two, lust and lying. We know, universally speaking, we can say that those things ain't good. Give me another one. Oh, definitely. Hatred for your brother. Now, watch this. Give me a couple of fruits of the spirit. Discernment. Okay, that's a good one. Somebody else say what? Charity. Give me one more. Huh? Meekness. Humbly patient. So now, in a nutshell, when I got the Holy Spirit, I exemplify fruits of that spirit, which are good things, right? Things that are not only good for me, but are good for those that are around me. When I exemplify works of the flesh, it's the opposite. Those are things that are hurtful to me or hurtful to others or both, right? So read that one more time, Mark.
Romans chapter 7 and verse 1. Know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law.
So now, when you get that law in your heart, meaning your mind, right, it gives you the ability to choose to keep it and exercise the keeping and obeying of those commandments, that's when you have the Holy Spirit and you begin to exemplify fruits of the Spirit, right? He said, I'm speaking to those people. I'm not speaking to those that don't have that spirit or are not willing to submit themselves to that spirit. It's crazy because what the Most High does, the Most High says, I'm going to give you these carnal commandments. Let's see how you do with those. Carnal simply means things that are of the flesh, things that can be easily seen with the outer eye, right? I'll give you one simple example. What we wear. It's one of the first things that we can see. Literally, the Most High made it by looking at a person, you can tell, okay, are they keeping the commandments, or at least they making an effort, right? And then you kind of go from there. Sometimes we don't know any better. But then it's a question, once we learn and we know to do better, will we decide to do better? So many people, go ahead, you got a question? Yes, sir. Absolutely. It shouldn't be grievous. Absolutely. And that's the thing. That's a great point, because they should not be grievous to us. When we allow them to be grievous to us, that's when we're not exemplifying that spirit and we're not making a choice to walk in that spirit of that we call the Holy Spirit of the law. So he says, I'm speaking to y'all. I'm speaking to those that have chosen to take on that spirit. Now, mind you, it's a whole lot of people that have vain opinions. They don't exemplify this spirit at all, do they? A lot of y'all know family members. Raise your hand if you got family members and friends, colleagues, co-workers, so on and so forth, right? That don't care anything about keeping any of these laws, but want to tell you what the Bible say. Raise your hand if you know somebody like that. Everybody up in there knows somebody like that. Will argue you up and down. No, that ain't what the Bible say. That ain't what the Bible say. He said, I'm speaking to those that know the law, meaning what? That's another thing. A lot of people pick this book up and think that they can just understand it. He said, look, you definitely ain't going to understand it and picking it up and opening it up somewhere in the middle. You're not going to understand it. And you're definitely not going to understand it if you don't know who you are first. Because this book spiritually does not resonate with every people on this earth. Every people on this earth, contrary to what a lot of you guys may believe or you were taught, every nation on this earth, including white folks, got an opportunity to keep God's commandments. Mind you, we all come from Adam. We all come from Noah. We all essentially got off the same ark. We all had the opportunity to choose to keep God's commandments, but people began to branch off and say, I'm going to do my own thing. I'll keep this, I'll keep that, but I'm going to treat it like it's trail mix. I don't want these. Right? Same thing they doing in the bootleg church today. We keep the 10 commandments, save one. How you save one? Yeah. We don't keep the Sabbath because the Sabbath is now on Sunday. Oh, really? Where is that at? Man, we done heard it all. So he said, know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law. Read on.
How that the law have dominion over a man as long as he liveth.
So now what is this saying? If the law has dominion over a man, meaning man, woman, child, as long as we live, how is it even possible for someone to come up with the thought that we no longer have to keep the laws of God? That doesn't make sense. Go ahead. Absolutely. Numbers 15:38. Absolutely. Watch this. I'm going to give you even another one. Go to Matthew chapter 5 and 17. Watch what he says.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 17.
Uh-huh.
Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets.
So this is the one that the world knows is Jesus Christ. He said, think not that I've come to destroy the law or the prophets. Go ahead.
I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
He said, I come not to destroy, I came to fulfill all those things that have been written in the Old Testament. He said, I come to fulfill all of these things. We can't all of a sudden do it. How are you going to do away with the Old Testament and you ain't never read the Old Testament? Think about that. How are you going to do away with a law and then try to have a moral compass? How in the world are you going to substantiate that somebody shouldn't kill another man, an Israelite shouldn't kill another Israelite? Or certain things, you know, you shouldn't steal from a fellow Israelite, or you shouldn't commit fornication. How can you substantiate those things whether or not it's okay for us to do those? Go ahead. You said say it again. Yeah, that's what they do. They do it through Satan. But then we got to tell them, we say, look, if you're going to maintain those things, you got to understand that those things have an origin. Where do they come from? It's stated in the law. So the law ain't went nowhere. It's just, it's so asinine. It's the equivalent of this. People drive bad in LA. They drive so bad that nobody's able to keep all the laws and regulations. Therefore, we're going to do away with them all. We're going to get rid of every stop sign, every sign, driving sign, every stoplight. We're going to get rid of all the lines, the intersections, and we're just going to let you go ahead and be free. What will we have?
Chaos.
And a whole lot of fatalities. So now that's what you got in the spirit happening. You got a whole bunch of fatalities. Folks is getting slew in the spirit left and right because you got folks that are subscribing to the ideology that we ain't got to keep God's commandments no more. And the one that the world knows or calls Jesus Christ, he says, don't think that for a minute. Go ahead and read verse 18.
For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled.
He said, ain't nothing gonna pass until all be fulfilled. It's a lot more that has to be fulfilled. There's an eternity of things that have to be fulfilled. In other words, he's saying that the law ain't going nowhere. So go from there, go to the book of Deuteronomy. I don't need it. Deuteronomy chapter 14, and we're gonna start at verse 1. Deuteronomy 14, I want 1 through 3, and then I want to drop down to verse 21.
Deuteronomy 14, verse 1. Ye are the children of the Lord your God.
Go ahead.
Ye shall not cut yourselves, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead.
Go ahead.
For thou art an holy people unto the Lord your God.
Go ahead.
And the Lord hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself.
Hold on. So he was giving some things that the heathens were doing, the other nations. He said, don't do the things that you see them doing, some of the ritualistic things that you see them doing. And as a matter of fact, he said, I'm going to let you know something. You belong to me. You're chosen. You're peculiar. Go ahead.
Above all the nations that are upon the earth.
And he said, you're above all the other nations, because a lot of people don't know how to let that sit with them. You don't know how to be better than. Being better than someone doesn't mean you got to go and brag all the time. But being better is something that you got to understand within your spirit so you know where you stand. It's something that you got to be able to teach these children, because they live in a world that constantly tries to convince them that they're less than everybody else. It's important to know that the Most High says you're better. You're supposed to be above everybody else, which also means I expect more out of you than everybody else. Go ahead and read.
Verse 3, thou shalt not eat any abominable thing.
Off top, he said, thou shalt not eat any abominable thing. Can we eat whatever we want? He said, no. 21.
Verse 21. Ye shall not eat of anything that dieth of itself.
So off top, he said anything that dies of itself. You can have something that normally is a clean animal to eat. But if that animal dies of itself, right, meaning it's not slaughtered, he says you can't eat of that animal. Something is wrong. Go ahead and read.
Thou shalt give it unto the stranger.
He says you can give it unto the other nations. You can make $1.15 off of them. But it's crazy because the roles have flipped. You probably sitting up here, some of y'all might say, that ain't right. I can't do them like that. They do you like that. Go ahead. Man, that all praise be to the Most High. Give him a clap. That's right. That's right. That's right. Go ahead. I knew somebody was going to ask. Yep. Some people got them. Huh? Yeah, it was a lot of different ritualistic things that the heathens still do unto this day. He said, don't do what they do. Don't follow what they follow. But go ahead. 21.
Thou shalt give it unto the stranger that is in thy gate, that he may eat it.
He can eat it. It's crazy because you got to be careful, man. You want to be a little bit more selective than what we normally are with our meats. A lot of times we go and we just see that meat, it look good, okay, cool. And you don't know what farm that meat is coming out of, if it died of itself or whatnot. And you really you at the mercy of your enemies, but more importantly, at the mercy of the Most High. But you got to start making sure that you pray. It's a reason why you're supposed to pray over the things that you eat. And then when you can, take the time and try to figure out where some of your foods are coming from, how those things are being slaughtered and processed as much as you can. Go ahead.
Or thou mayest sell it unto an alien, for thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not seethe a kid in his mother's milk.
Seethe, meaning boil. You should not boil a kid, which is a baby goat, in its own mother's milk. All right? So now, watch this, because some people, go off the deep edge, and that's not according to the law. They say, you can't have meat and milk. That's not what that says. That's not a law. That's bootleg Jews teach that. All right? Go from there. Go to Leviticus chapter 11. It's crazy because not only the excess of a lot of things that we eat are detrimental to our health, but it's also in the way the things are being produced and processed that are really destroying us. But our people, they ate cheeses, eggs, so on and so forth. Thank you. Leviticus chapter 11. Let's get 45 through 47.
Leviticus chapter 11, verse 7, verse 45. For I am the Lord that bringeth you up out of the land of Egypt to be your power.
Go ahead.
Ye shall therefore be holy, for I am holy.
He said, I'm the Lord that bringeth you up out of the land of Egypt to be your God, your power. Sometimes we forget that. The God of this Bible says, I want to be your God. Well, isn't he everybody's God? He said, no, I'm your God. I got a special connection and relationship with you. Can you handle that? It's crazy because we have a problem with some of the worldly, not even worldly, but carnal relationships. We have fits about, he said, but I want to be exclusive to you. You don't want exclusivity over here, but he said, I'm trying to be exclusively your God. I don't know if I can handle that. Go ahead.
This is the law of the beast and of the fowl.
Yep.
And of every living creature that moveth in the waters. And of every creature that creepeth upon the earth. To make a difference between the to make a difference between the unclean and the clean. And between the beast that the beast that may be eaten and the beast that may be not eaten.
So now when you read that whole Leviticus chapter 11, because, we're not going to go through everything in there, right? But I wanted to make reference to it. It's literally detailed in terms of animals, right? What we can versus what we cannot eat. He's telling you right here. Now watch this. People want to jump to the New Testament. They don't even know what the New Testament is all about. See, we can eat what we want to eat. Right? But clearly it says right here in the word, what it say? It says some things you can and some things you can't eat. Some birds you can eat, some birds you can't eat. Some things of the sea you can eat, some things of the sea you cannot eat. Some beast you can eat, some beast you cannot eat. Now, just with an everyday reasonable person, if I read this, the Bible is our constitution, if you will. It's our book of law. It's our manual. If I read in the beginning of the manual what is good and what is not good, it's just like if you got a brand new vehicle, right? The vehicle requires not only any type of motor oil, but it requires, they say, a specific type of motor oil. Let's see, 1040. A certain type of gasoline. You can't put 87, put 92 in there, right? Now, you just got this car, plus it comes with a warranty. And they'll tell you, if you want us to honor that warranty, you got to follow the instructions within that manual of what you need to do in regards to your car. You need to put this type of oil in that car. You need to put this type of gas in that car. Some folks, you go and you put that 87 in there still. You grab oil from the homie or the home girl and you throw that oil in there. It's oil. It's all the same. Right? Some of y'all even go further and you going to put some Crisco in there.
Yeah, you throw that grapeseed oil in there.
Go ahead, Doc. Indeed. So, just like the brother said, like, our God is a God of order. Even when we were in the wilderness, a big portion of what we were doing in the wilderness was becoming ordered, structured. Yes, sir. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. God. Now watch this. Ain't we the same people? Doing the same thing. Yep. We do the same. And we see it all the time. We get folks that come up in here, we get right for a minute and go right back into that disorderly lifestyle, that same disorderly state of mind. What I don't want y'all to do is do that. I want you to stay here, stay put. Let's build. Let's get ordered, right? That's what we got to do. So watch this. Go from there. Get the First Maccabees in the Apocrypha. First Maccabees chapter 1. And I want to get 44 through 50. And then we're going to drop down to 62 and 63.
First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 44.
Yes, sir.
The king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
So look, they're sending letters saying that they got to follow the orders and the laws, the strange laws at that, of the land. Now, do we have strange laws of this land? Plenty of them. Laws that are contrary to our laws. But watch this. Read 45.
And forbid burnt offerings.
They forbid burnt offerings. What's a burnt offering? I say it all the time. When we think of burnt offering, it was crazy because we was out on the streets and the brother called himself trying to confound us. Y'all do sacrifices? Yep, we do. We do the Passover. Yeah, right. I don't believe you. Brother pulled it up here. Oh, burnt offering. You barbecue, don't you? Who raise your hand if you ever been to a barbecue. Some of them was wicked burnt offerings because you was putting pork on the baby back ribs on slabs of ribs on the grill. But when we ain't got them ribs, we got them beef ribs, right? Got that beef, that lamb, that goat, whatever you want that's righteous, that good bird, right? Then it's okay. That's what a burnt offering was. It was the things that we were cooking on that grill. So watch this. They began to forbid burnt offerings. It's crazy because they stopped us from barbecuing back then. We love to barbecue to this day. They got slick with us. They said, all right, we ain't going to stop them from barbecuing. They going to still find a way to barbecue. We just going to tell them to barbecue this. Now we coming back off of that. Raise your hand if you ain't had no pork in a long time. All praise be to the Most High. Look at that. But raise your hand if you still been burnt offering. Still been barbecuing or you been to the barbecue. Raise your hand. Been to the function. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So he said, look, and forbid burnt offerings and what?
And drink offerings.
And sacrifice and drink offerings, because that's another thing too, them drink offerings. Now, let me ask you a question. You think they was drink offering Kool-Aid and Wawa? Or did they have that yan, that fire water? Y'all don't even know what's in your spirit. I got the Hennessy. I got some tequila. I got some tequila over here. Got the Remy. Drink offerings. You offering it up to your brothers. And all praise be to the Most High. But go ahead and read.
And forbid burnt offering and sacrifice.
Go ahead.
And drink offering in the temple.
In the temple, read.
And that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days.
So they wanted to profane the Sabbaths and the festival days, meaning all of the other holy days. We just came out of tabernacles, right? They didn't want us keeping those. They wanted to defile them. Go ahead.
And pollute the sanctuary and the holy people.
They wanted to pollute our temple, the sanctuary of the temple, and altogether the holy people, meaning our entire nation of people. They wanted us polluted. It's the same thing that they do now. That's why they hiding all of them ingredients in your stuff, in your food. You can't just look for pork. It ain't going to say swine. You might see words like diglycerides and enzymes, all kind of stuff. I didn't know. It's a learning process. They trying to do everything they can to continue to defile us. But yet, Most High still been preserving us. Watch this, read.
Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols.
Yep.
And sacrifice swine's flesh. And
They sacrifice
swine's flesh.
Swine's flesh. Now, one of my brothers had hit me up yesterday and was talking to some people, and they was over there. He was telling me how they was just eating up on some pork and had pork rinds and all of that, making a mockery of these scriptures. A lot of our people don't understand that we have forefathers and foremothers, because they don't know this history right here, that gave their lives rather than eat that foul stuff. They were literally like, put me to death because I'm not eating your bacon. I'm not eating your baby back ribs. I'm not eating your McDonald's McRib. I'm not eating that crap. I'd rather die. Kill me now. Serious. You got to go and read the history. Read the history of our forefathers and foremothers. Read about Eliezer. Go ahead.
Verse 48. Oh, excuse me. And sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beast.
Uh-huh.
And they should also leave their children uncircumcised. And make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation.
Go ahead.
To the end that they might forget the law. And change all the ordinances.
You see that? That was the thing that they were trying to do. Get us, because you eat so many pork rinds, you get accustomed to doing all of these things that are contrary to the spirit that you're supposed to have. Most High says, with that stuff in you, I can't dwell in you. My spirit can't dwell with that. You start getting disconnected from who you are. These are facts. You're not eating what you're supposed to be eating. You're eating all of the crap, the things that are defiling you. You're not coming to the convocations. You're not assembling, right? Not speaking the language, not identifying yourself as an Israelite. Before you know it, you somebody else. A lot of us, that's happening in our lives from what we were raised up to be versus what we became as adults because of the crowd and the company that we kept. So it's not far-fetched. This happened to us as a nation of people. Read on.
And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die.
He should die. And you can read in the Maccabees, they literally were putting us to death. Jump down to 62 and 63.
Verse 62, howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing.
So you had a whole bunch of our people, Israelites, that said, you know what? I don't care what it means. If it means my life, I'm not eating that crap. What would you do? Would you go ahead and slide a McRib in your mouth just to save your life? Some of y'all people keep it real. You might not be strong enough yet, but you're trying to work to get there. I hope when the time comes, you're ready to, hey, do what you got to do. We got to teach these kids to do the same thing. It's that serious. Most High said, I don't want you defiled. But watch this, read.
63. Wherefore, they chose rather to die that they might not be defiled with meat.
Go ahead.
And that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died.
The covenant meaning this law right here. They said, I'd rather die before anybody forces me not to do what this law says. We got to get there. It's not just about what we eat, but it's about everything that we do in regards to the keeping of these commandments and what we hold each other accountable for. You had something to say?
Nah, it was in the spirit. You felt
okay.
it,
though.
Nah, it was one of those things because in the spirit and in the truth versus the world will teach you it ain't that serious. And then where you think God really care about you eating some pork? You think he wants you to sacrifice yourself like that? Your babies? Over a bite to eat? But it's like, man, you read the script, it's a different story in them scriptures versus what that pastor preaching. So it's at the end of the day, yeah, the Most High finds it serious, man. And at the end of the day, like the brother's bringing out, it's bigger than just, oh, I'm not eating this, but it's the whole thing. They trying to pollute us. Do everything they can to take us away from the Most High because the scriptures let you know when you're unclean, you start to separate yourself from the Most High and his power. Not only are you separating yourself from the Most High, clean yourself off, but even his power to help heal, save, and do everything he can to help capture your soul and bring it unto him. That's deep. So it's not just the physical like the brother bringing out. It's everything to do with the spiritual.
All praises. What the brother is saying is on point. Is that serious? You know, when we start walking this walk, for some of us, things like what we eat seems to be kind of like a smaller commandment, not as big of a deal. But the Most High says it's a bigger deal than what some of y'all think. Let's go to Daniel chapter 1, and we're going to get verse 1, and then we're going to drop down to verse 5.
Daniel chapter 1, verse 1. In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem, and besieged it.
So, yeah, in the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, the king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem, and he besieged it. Now watch this. Drop down to verse 5.
Verse 5. And the king appointed them a daily provision of the king's meat, and of the wine which he had drank. So nourishing them 3 years, that at the end thereof that they might stand before the king.
So they would nourish the ones that they had with essentially captives, if you will, servants for 3 years. And they thought they were doing a good thing. They gave them the king's meat. King's meat, is of the king. The king is of another nation. They didn't necessarily follow the same laws, right? Or they had basically omitted some of those laws, right? So go ahead and read verse 6.
Now among these were the children of Judah, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah.
So you know them by these other names. Go ahead.
Unto whom the prince of the eunuchs gave names. For he gave unto Daniel the name Belteshazzar, and unto Hananiah Shadrach, and unto Mishael Meshach, and unto Azariah Abednego.
So y'all know them Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Y'all know them by their Babylonian names. Go ahead, verse 8.
But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank.
So hold on. So it must have been something wrong with that meat and that wine. Right? But Daniel said it was. Look, because some people make that excuse. Well, we in captivity. How many of y'all have heard that? We in captivity. We can't, sometimes, it ain't that big of a deal. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Go ahead. Absolutely. There you go. Exactly. That's exactly why we are in captivity. Because we made excuse and we broke these laws. But go ahead, read.
Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuch that he might not defile himself.
So when you read that and you go on, you figure out that Daniel said, look, I'll take the pulse. I'll take the lentils and, vegetables and things of that nature. They like, that's all you want? You don't want no meat? Meat? You need some meat on. He said, nah, I'll be all right. And he ate that stuff and was more healthy and better in his countenance than everybody else. Sometimes it's worth just changing that diet altogether. But watch this read. Go to Acts chapter 10, and let's get verse 1 and 2. We're going to drop down to verse 9. Yes, sir.
Acts chapter 10, verse 1. There was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called the Italian band, a devout man.
So hold on. I ain't going to go because that's a whole nother thing in itself. That's another thing in itself. A lot of folks be like, this man was a heathen. This man was an Israelite. He just happened to be a part of the centurion or the Italian band as a centurion. That was his job. It's just like an Israelite here in Los Angeles employed with LAPD. No different. But the Bible says, regardless of his occupation, he was a devout man, meaning what? He was a law-abiding man. He kept the laws of the Most High. Read on.
A devout man, and one that feared God with all his house, which gave much alms to the people, and prayed to God always.
He gave much alms to the people, and he always was praying to the Most High. He was trying to be in tune. Go ahead. I didn't need all of that. Did I need all of that?
Go down.
Ooh. Yep. 2. So drop down to verse 9.
Verse 9.
9 through 15.
Verse 9. On the morrow, as they went on their journey and drew nigh unto the city, Peter went up on the housetop to pray about the 6th hour. And he became very hungry and would have eaten, but while they made ready, he fell into a trance.
He fell into a trance, right? Now, here's the thing. Folks be getting such a revelation. See, Peter, he ate it. Most High told him it was all right. Said Peter fell into a trance. What is a trance? That means this was not reality. He was showing him something through a vision. Read on.
And saw heaven open up, and a certain vessel descending unto him, as it had been a great sheet knit at 4 corners, and let down to the earth.
Go ahead.
Wherein were all manner of food wherein were all manner of four-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts and creeping thing, fowl of the air. And there came a voice to him, Rise, Peter, kill and eat. But Peter said, Not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean.
Peter was like, not me, Lord, please, no. That's just like I forgot what prophet that was, and the Most High said, you're going to have to eat that human dung. And they was like, oh,
Ezekiel.
no.
That was Ezekiel.
That was Ezekiel. He said, I ain't never ate nothing defiled. He said, all right, I'm going to let you slide on this one. It ain't unlawful to eat this doggone cow doodle. You going to eat that. I got to prove a point through you. So they were serious. Our forefathers were serious about not defiling themselves. If we only could take on that same spirit. Because we defile ourselves all the time with things that we eat. And sometimes it's not necessarily a matter of an animal that's unlawful. Sometimes we just defile ourselves because we excessively eat things that are just not good for us. And I'm guilty of that. I've been trying to work through it and get it right. But the Most High says you need to have more care for your diet, right? Why would you want to defile yourself? Our forefathers was like, I'll do anything not to defile myself. Go ahead, read 15, and then we're going to drop down to verse 27 and 28.
And the voice spake unto him again the second time, What God hath cleansed, that call not thou common.
He said, with the Most High cleanse, you're not to call that common. So Peter was trying to figure out, what is he talking about? I ain't going to go too deep into it, I know. 27 and 28. Because this
Verse
brother right here
27.
gonna bring a lesson on it soon. Go ahead, Ak.
And as he talked with him, he went in and found many that were come together.
Uh-huh.
And he said unto them, Ye know how that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation.
So now this is what this is what Peter, because Peter was the one having his vision. Peter says, you know how it's unlawful for a man that's a Jew to keep company with anybody that's not a Jew, right? It wasn't that Cornelius wasn't an Israelite, but he wasn't a Jew more so in respect to everything that came along with being a Jew in that day. Being a native, so to speak, to Judea, being brought up under the circumcision, which means he understood from a youth up what it meant to offer atonement, sacrifices, and things of that nature to the sons of Aaron in order for them to send forth an atonement on behalf of their sins. A lot of Israelites weren't brought up with the opportunity to do that. Cornelius was one of them. So what he was stating was, he was like, look, it got to a point where it was so bad, it was like, look, we in the land. We grew up knowing this stuff. We don't mess with y'all, even though we know we the same people. We don't mess with y'all. Y'all didn't grow up doing what we do. Y'all unclean to us. Mm-hmm. Right? Go ahead.
But God has showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean.
Meaning any man of Israel common or unclean. This was never talking about food. Folks would sit here, take this scripture, and make you to believe that the Most High himself was saying, go ahead and eat. Eat of that garbage. Go ahead. Wow. You got to be real careful. Yep. You said, what's that one more time? Yeah, you sure did. You sure did. All praise be to this week right here. Oh, my bad. I got to hold this mic the right way. If I hold it down here, it gets to staticking. Whose is this? We good?
Either one,
It don't matter? All right. Y'all sure ain't nobody? All right, for sure. Yeah. Go from there. You know, I got to make sure. Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 33, verse 7 through 9. You know, we all got our own loved ones. We just want to make sure, you know, keep our lip activities separate. 33, 7 through 9.
Sirach chapter 33, verse 7.
Yes, sir.
Why doth one day excelleth another,
Uh-huh.
when as all the light of every day in the year is of the sun?
So now, remember, it was a few things. One of the things were the things that we ate, right? But it was also holy days that were mentioned in Colossians chapter 2 and verse 16, right? He says, so now in regards to holy days, he said, read that one more time.
Verse 7. Why doth one day excelleth another?
So why does one day excel another? Why is one day deemed more holy or holy at all when the next day is not necessarily deemed to be holy, not deemed to be special? Go ahead.
When as all the light of every day in the year is of the sun.
Because some people will trick you. Have you ever heard that? Every day is a day of the Lord. Every day is the Sabbath. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Go ahead. They'll get you. If you ain't quick on the gun, they'll get you. Go ahead. Con, you heard what my brother said? He said if every day was a Sabbath, folks would be out here broke and struggling because you can't work on the Sabbath. Yeah. But basically what they try to do is they try to mitigate the importance of these holy days, right? So now it's going to answer the question. Go ahead, read.
By the knowledge of the Lord, they were distinguished.
So hold on. By whose knowledge?
By the knowledge of the Lord.
By the knowledge of your mama.
By the knowledge of the Lord.
By the knowledge of your grandma.
By the knowledge of the Lord.
By the knowledge of auntie.
By the knowledge of the Lord.
And your cousin them.
By the knowledge of the Lord.
And the homies.
By the knowledge of the Lord.
And the homegirls.
By the knowledge of the Lord.
Not by their knowledge, but by the knowledge of God, the God of this Bible, the Most High, Yahweh. They were distinguished. He said, I'm saying that this day is a holy day. Why? Because I said so. You want to know the history? Go learn the history on it. He'll tell you why we keep the Sabbath to this very day. He said it's a memorial. Memorial means what? I want you to remember what I did. What did he do? He created all of this. He said every day that you keep the Sabbath, you ought to remember that it's a memorial of my creation and that I'm giving you a day to rest and restore yourself. All praise be to the Most High. That's what he's saying. He said in all of these other holy days, they have history and significance. But when a person just try to come at you, oh, any day is a holy day, they don't care about God's plans. And they don't care about how he decided to design things. It's just like you. You ever get irritated when somebody wants to come in your domain and move things around? Right? And really, what do you have that you can justify how you feel when somebody does that? You feel violated, right? Does it have to be over here where you put it at? It doesn't have to be right there. But why do you feel so violated and you feel so strong about it? Because it's not your way. And you got the authority to do it as you see fit. What makes you comfortable, what resonates within your spirit, right? Go ahead. Absolutely. Some of y'all, I don't know if we still got regular radio. Some of y'all didn't want nobody to touch that one channel. Don't touch it. I got it up high, I want it up. Some of y'all got OCD, right? It ain't a bad thing, but you like, look, I don't need it at 37. It got to be on 38. How many of y'all, keep it real, tell on yourself? I be like that sometimes. Certain things, I be like, it got to be, yeah, I do that sometimes. I ain't going to even lie to you. I try not to be too bad, but sometimes. But the bottom line is, it's yours to do that with. And when somebody comes along and violates that, it make you feel some type of way. So imagine how the Most High feel when you come and say, it don't matter. Any of these days could be the Sabbath. Any of these days could be a holy day. It don't matter. That's like your birthday. Somebody coming along and they're going to decide to keep your birthday 6 months from your birthday. You're going to be like, that ain't my birthday. Well, it don't matter. You lived another year. You got specific plans on your birthday. I want to do this. I want to do that. And they say, hold on. It's the same thing. Go ahead.
And he altered seasons and feasts.
And he altered seasons and feasts. Specifically, he said, these feasts are going to go within these seasons. And this is going to be the continuum of the circle of seasons. You're going to start with life, spring. In Espanol, it's primavera. From there, you're going to go to summer. From there, you got the harvest. You got fall. From there, you got winter. You got winter. Things die. And then we start life all the way over again, and we do the same thing over and over again. Read.
Some of them he hath made high days.
Some of them he made high days, holy days. And what?
And hallowed them.
And he hallowed them, meaning he made them holy. He made the Sabbath day holy. He did not make Sunday holy unless there is a holy day that falls on Sunday. But he made what we call Saturday, actually, if you want to be specific, sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. He said, now that's holy. Why? Because he said so. Go ahead.
And some of them he hath made ordinary days.
And some days are just ordinary days. That's what it is. But this helps you to be able to combat a lot of the nonsense, especially when you first coming into this walk. You get hit with all of these things. Just remember, make sure you precept and make sure you keep your notes so you can, I got something for you. Go from there. Get Exodus chapter 31. Exodus chapter 31. Let's get 12 through 17. Sometimes the basics feel so good. Got to come back to the basics. Exodus chapter 31, 12 through 17.
Look at Exodus chapter 31 and verse 12. Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep.
He said, my Sabbaths, not just the 7-day Sabbath, but all of the other days that are also considered Sabbaths as well. We just had the Feast of Tabernacles, which was an 8-day feast. Of those 8 days, the first day and the last day, which is the 8th day, were both Sabbaths. So he says, verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep. I want you keeping all of my feast days. Read on.
For it is a sign between me and you throughout your generation.
It's a sign. That's another reason why it's so important. Most High willing, we will become more and more in sync as a nation as to when we are keeping these feast days. Most High said, I never ordained it for these Israelites over here to be keeping it on this day. These Israelites over here keeping it on that day. He said it was something that was supposed to be a sign that you're all my children and that you're serving me together. Right? That's how important that is. Read.
That you may know that I am the Lord that does sanctify you.
Uh-huh.
Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore.
Uh-huh.
For it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death.
You see that? That's another thing. Sometimes we take it lightly. Somebody breaking the Sabbath, oh, it's all right. No, it ain't all right. It's a big deal. So watch this. If breaking the Sabbath is a big deal, and you're more inclined to break the Sabbath if you're around people that are not keeping the Sabbath, what do you deduct from that? What should you do on a Sabbath? You should probably surround yourself with others that are keeping it. Or isolate yourself in a situation where you can make sure that you're keeping it. And you're not confused. Because sometimes we could just be in the motion of doing something and we don't realize what we're doing. Have you ever been in a situation where you driving somewhere and you know you need to exit on this, but you so used to going there and you ain't thinking before you know it, you done way passed up your exit because it's just muscle memory? Go ahead. Absolutely. We can't be unequally yoked with people who are not doing what it is that we doing, because through that muscle memory, a lot of times we might get caught up and end up doing something and popping something in the microwave. Go ahead, Doc. Con. I'm going to tell you like this, man. All praise be to the Most High. Some of y'all, you know, you still hang with. Man, it's supposed to naturally happen. You stop hanging with the people you used to hang out with. We don't have nothing in common. I got brothers that the relationship ain't what it used to be because we don't have the same interest anymore. It's important. The brotherhood and the sisterhood is so vital. It's so important in this walk. So many Israelites have been trying to do it on their own. You can't do this thing on your own. You need an assembly. You need somebody who's there for you. Someone to laugh with. Someone that has a shoulder you can lean on. Someone who don't mind telling you when you're wrong. Real talk. You need that. But go ahead.
My Sabbath ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations. You may know that I am the Lord that doth sanctify you.
Go ahead.
Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people.
15, go ahead.
6 days may work be done, but in the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, holy to the Lord. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death.
So you see that? He said, I give you 6 days on an average week to go out there and get it. Go get the bag. Hustle. Work overtime, whatever it is you feel like you need to do. He said, but on that Sabbath, I need that. That's mine. Tell him you ain't coming in. Tell him, if anything, you going to work for me. And I'm telling you, I want you to rest. I'm telling you, I want you to get with like-minded folk. Sometimes throughout the week, you can't get with like-minded folk as much as you want to. He said, but on that Sabbath, you can do that. It's important. Go ahead. 16.
But in the seventh, it is, 16. Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations.
Throughout their generations for what?
For a perpetual covenant.
For a perpetual covenant. So when somebody hits you with Colossians chapter 2:16, a bootleg Christian, because they're going to hit you with that. They're going to hit you with John 3:16 woo-wop. They're going to try to hit you with the Galatians. I'm going to tell you all of the ones they're going to hit you with. You're going to be able to hit them back and say, the devil is a lie. Get behind me, Satan. Trying to tell you that you ain't got to worry about no holy days. Yeah, you do. Even in the book of Hebrews, I think I might be going there in a little bit, so I don't want to spoil it, but I ain't even going there, so I'll reference it. In the book of Hebrews, Yahweh Shai speak about it in chapter 4. He said, look, if I would have changed the Sabbath, surely I would have wrote it somewhere in this book. He said it's the same thing. It's still the same day that remains. Go ahead. You want me to go there real quick? Oh, no. Well, I get it for you after the fact. All praise be to the Most High. All praise be to the Most High. Yeah, we were dealing out on the streets today. And it was a brother, he was adamant. And I said, look, brother. I said, hey, because he was excited. I said, look, if I can show you according to this Bible, right, that the Bible says otherwise, right, will you listen? And will you decide to walk differently, walk according to this Bible? Brother said, yeah, for sure, for sure. Did that happen, Akim? Yeah, so a lot of people that come to you and they'll make it seem like they sincere and they got your best interest at heart. They don't. So you got to be careful. These are some people that you had great relationships before this truth. Before the truth, man, I was loved. I was beloved. Everybody loved me while I was smoking weed heavy and drinking and acting a fool. Ain't nothing wrong with drinking, but I was drinking heavy. I was getting toe up and, acting a fool. While I was doing my little hood capers and chilling with the homies, everybody loved me. The minute all of a sudden I was talking about I'm an Israelite, I'm going to keep these laws, everything changed. Everything changed. So, you got to be careful because a lot of times you be like, well, this is my cousin. They love me. They wouldn't wish nothing but the best for me. That ain't. Now you got a totally different situation. You got an adverse spirit that you're dealing with. And sometimes it's the spirit in them that causes them to be so adverse to what it is that you're doing. And you got to make sure that you don't fall in that pitfall. You got to stand for this, all right? You got to be an example to them, most high willing, when they do finally come up out of that and are looking for something that's truth, you'll be that example, right? All right, go from there. Get book of Hebrews. Oh, you know what? I do got it right here. It's the very next one. Chapter 4. Not 4, but 4. Hebrews 4 and 4 through 9. Sometimes we got to take it back from all these bootleg pastors. They got so much charisma in the bootleg churches. We can have charisma too. It's all right. It ain't going to cost you nothing.
You ready?
Yep.
Hebrews chapter 4, verse 4.
Yes, sir.
For he spake in a certain place of the seventh day on this wise, and God did rest the seventh day from all his works.
You see that? Now watch this, read.
And in this place again, if they shall enter into my rest, seeing therefore it remaineth that some must enter therein, and they to whom it was first preached.
Hold on. So remember earlier on we read, it was like, look, he was speaking to those that know the law. Right here, it's the same thing. He said, seeing therefore it remaineth that some must enter therein, and they to whom it was first preached. Who was it preached to? Israel. Us, the Israelites. Folks talking about y'all talking about all this Israelite stuff. That's what the brother was talking. All this Israelite stuff. It ain't for everybody. And I tell them like this. Okay, you want it to be for everybody. Let's see if everybody's willing to come and obey these commandments. They ain't gonna do it. He said only Israel has kept our precepts. Only Israel by name. It ain't in anybody else. Folks want to talk about, how you know you're an Israelite. Okay. I tell you, because it tell you in the book of Romans chapter 9. He said not all this Israel is of Israel. He says you can be an Israel by blood and by DNA, but you may not have that spirit. You choose to be wicked. He said, well, you as good as a heathen. But what he did say, he said, I done searched all throughout, and I've given the heathens the opportunity to keep these laws, and don't none of them choose to do so. He said, but Israel always come back to me. He said, now all of y'all going to come back, but he said, I'm going to at least claim 1/3 for myself. That's why I don't argue with him. All praise be to the Most High. Got no time to argue with him. Most High said, look, wheat and the tares. He said, let us go ahead and get rid of these tares for you. He said, nah, don't worry. He said, I know the difference. Let them grow up together. Go ahead, Ak. Oh, yeah. He already know. Yahweh Shai said, look, how much more the Most High if Yahweh Shai said, I counted all of the hairs on your head. He said, I know the ones that's missing too. Now, that's some cold stuff for Yahweh Shai the King to say, I know every hair on your head. How much more do you think that the Most High know? Most High says sometimes you can't even produce words. He said, but I know what you want through how you moaning. That's the God you serve. You better wake up and embrace being an Israelite. But watch this. Go ahead and finish reading that.
To whom it was first preached, entered not in because of unbelief.
So now, he said, Israelites, because it was first preached to us, and we decide not to enter into that Sabbath because of unbelief. He said, what about them? Watch this, read.
Again, he limited a certain day.
He limited a certain day, speaking of that seventh day. It's clear as day. Read on.
Saying, in David, today after so long a time, as it is said, today, if ye will hear his voice, harden not your hearts.
He said, if you hear my voice today and harden not your hearts, listen up. Because Israel be like, I already know. I already know. No, you don't know. Because you ain't keeping it. I see you laugh, Osh, because you know, especially 10 trial, that's what I sound like. I already know. I had one today, oh boy. Yeah, I already know. I'm like, if you know, then you put that, are you judging me? I said, man, I drink too. But you toe up. You borracho right now. You put that beer down. Sober up and keep these commandments. But watch this, read.
For if Yahushua had given them rest, then they would not afterward have spoken of another day.
He said, look, if Yahushua gave them another day of rest, right, then everybody would know it. They'd be speaking of another day. But Yahushua never did that. He never changed that. Yahushua said, don't tell that lie on me. I bet you Paul be looking down too like, man, they be lying on me. Goodness. I think in this Bible, the two that get lied on more than anybody else is Yahushua and Paul. Goodness. Go ahead. Wow. Wow. If they don't lie, man, Most High willing, man, I hope I make it. Man, I definitely got to holler at Yahushua and Paul, man. We probably going to have some laughs. Like, man, y'all, out of everybody during my time that I was living that last time I was on earth, boy, they be lying on y'all. But watch this, read.
There remaineth therefore a rest to the people of God.
He said, there remaineth that same rest that was spoken about in the book of Exodus chapter 31. He said, this is a day that's special between me and my people. He said, this is the day that signifies that you my chosen. Did you know that? And doesn't it signify that? Doesn't it send a vibration throughout the earth, throughout your community when they see what you doing on your Saturday? While everybody else doing what they want to do? On that Friday night when everybody else about to go turn up. And you say, look, hold on. I can't wait for this Shabbat. Boy, it feel good. I just heard my brothers talking about how good it feeling to just enter into that rest. Brothers say he get to forget about the cares of the world. I know I do. I ain't worried about no bills. For the Sabbath, you can keep all of that. Put it on hold. Straight up. But he said that day remains. We still got to keep this Sabbath. Go ahead.
Verse 10. For he that is entered into his rest, he also has ceased from his own works as God did from his.
Go ahead. You want to talk about it?
So it's basically saying the same rest that God rested after creation, everything on the seventh day, on the 6 days he created everything, he rested on the seventh day. So we got to rest on the seventh day as well, which is today. And the ordinance has never changed. But they'll tell you it changed all the time.
Nope, it ain't changed at all. Let's go back to Colossians chapter 2 and verse 16. What's that? Oh, you came in late. That's what we doing all of this on. I'm about to reference it one more time. Make sure you get all the precepts, everything. Anytime somebody can try to pull this on you, you'll have what you need. Go ahead and read it one more time. 2 and 16.
Colossians chapter 2, verse 16. Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of a holy day or of the new moon, or of the Sabbath
You
days.
see that? Don't let them judge you on the Sabbath. It don't matter. Every day is Sabbath. Every day a holy day. They pull all of that. What you eat, you can eat what you want to eat. All you got to do is bless it. Undefiled. Right? Ezekiel chapter 45 and verse 17. Yep, 45 and 17. Watch this.
Ezekiel chapter 45, verse 17. And it shall be the prince's part to give burnt offering and meat offerings and drink offerings in the feast and in the new moons and in the Sabbath and in all solemnities of the house of Israel.
Solemnities are holy days. Don't this sound familiar? Don't this sound like what we just read
Yep.
in Colossians chapter 2, verse 16? Huh? So what's the correlation? Huh? Here's the thing. Exactly. There were specific things that had to be offered and sacrificed under the sacrificial law. You had to bring it. Man, the way the Most High was operating back then, ooh-wee. Y'all heard about the story about the jakes that the priests that burned their own incense? What happened to them? Got put to death. Y'all heard about what happened when David, he wasn't sharp enough on what he needed to know, and he had some random men go over there and try to grab the ark, and what happened to them? Most High put them to death. They was following the instructions of their king. And Most High said, no. It was serious. If the Most High said, you better bring this, you better bake it like, because the Most High was real specific. He was like, don't you cook me nothing and don't put no salt in it. Go ahead. Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah, 45 and 17. So he said now in the book of Colossians chapter 2 and verse 16, after Yahushua had given himself as a sacrifice, right? In order to bring forth not just a new covenant, but really a renewed covenant, if you will. That's what it was. Because it was just renewing the one that had already been there, and it's continuing the same covenant that he made with us from jump. Right? So now, he said, now don't let anybody tell you that you got to bring these certain offerings. When you look in the book of Leviticus chapter 23, a lot of times we don't pay much attention to all of the specific offerings that you had to bring. He said, don't worry about that. The one that you got to do, he said, you got to do that Passover, though. You got to offer that Passover. Other than that, all of the other ones, he said, not right now. Go ahead and finish reading.
He shall prepare the sin offering and the meat offering and the burnt offering and the peace offering to make reconciliation for the house of Israel.
Why? Because reconciliation was made through the sacrifice of Yahushua. That's why. That's why. So folks will sit up here and use the scripture and be using it for something totally different than what they should be using it for. Go from there. Go to the book of 1 Ezra chapter 5. First Ezra chapter 5, and let's get 46 through 53.
Book of 1 Ezra chapter 5 and verse 46. And so dwelt the priests and the Levites and the people in Jerusalem and in the country, the singers also and the porters, and all Israel in their villages. When the 7th month was at hand, and when the children of Israel were every man in his own place, they came all together with one consent into the open place of the first gate, which is toward the east. Then stood up Yahushua, the son of Jesedek, and his brethren, the priests, and Zerubbabel, the son of Zelathiel, and his brother, and made ready the altar of the God of Israel, to offer burnt sacrifices upon it, according as it is expressly commanded in the book of Moses, the man of Most High.
Hold on. To offer burnt sacrifices upon it, according as it is expressly commanded in the book of Moses, meaning the law, who is the man of the Most High. That's pretty clear, right? Watch this read.
And they were gathered unto them out of the other nations of the land, and they erected the altar upon his own place, because all the nations of the land were at enmity with them, and oppressed them. And they offered sacrifices according to the time, and burnt offerings to the Lord, both morning and evening.
Morning and evening. Go ahead.
Also, they held the Feast of Tabernacles, as it is commanded in the law, and offered sacrifices daily as was meet.
Offer sacrifices daily. How much them lambs cost? $3.50 a lamb, right? If you had to sacrifice one of them in the day and in the night, how much that'll set you back? About 700. Man, so if you got it, I like that. Let's see, let's round him off. 700 a day. Let's just not even say the whole 7, but 6 days out of the week. What's that 6 times that 7? 4,200. That's 4,200. Ooh, wee. How many of y'all got it like that? I'll make it a little easier. You know, some of the offerings might, because some of the offerings don't necessarily require a lamb, right? You might have a couple of turtle doves here and there. They might not break your pockets too much, right? You can probably do a couple of them. But what happened when you got that one, them certain offerings, you ain't going to get away with a lamb. He said, I need a bullock. I need an ox. How much them ox is going for? Yeah.
Ox cost.
Ooh. So say if he said, man, I need two of these sacrifices as cows, homie. You need to bring them. How much you gonna be out of if you got to bring two oxen? Go ahead, all right, we about to go there. Matter of fact, hold that real quick. We're gonna come back to 2nd Esdras. Go there for me real quick. First Esdras chapter 5. We coming right back there. You said Ezekiel what?
45.
Ezekiel chapter 45 and verse 23. In 7 days of the feast, he shall prepare a burnt offering to the Lord. 7 bullocks.
Ooh.
And 7 rams.
Ooh.
Without blemish. Daily the 7 days. And a kid of the goats daily for a sin offering.
Ooh-wee. Some of we probably don't even know what a bullock is. I ain't gonna lie. I have to make sure I know what it is. I think I know what it is. Go ahead. You know what? In some cases it was, in some cases it wasn't. In this particular case, it may have been a situation where it was according to the household. I'd have to look. But even for a household to come up with that, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, during that time. But he said he knew what conditions that we would end up in. We're in, as much as we think that we're in a great situation, we're in worse conditions than what we were then. We weren't a broke people. A lot of people don't understand that. We were not a broke people. That's why you like finer things. The Koreans and stuff that I know you like. You like, even though you in captivity, you broke as a joke. Your pocketbook rubbing, your checkbook rubbing from cover to cover because you ain't got nothing. But yet you want to feel like a queen. You got your nails did, fingers and toes did, jewelry on. If you can't afford the real thing, it's going to be costume. It's going to look good, though. Man, because you used to a better lifestyle. You used to. We didn't come, man, trust me, you got to read your history. Abraham was balling. They wasn't no scrubs. Our foremothers was balling. They had women to serve them. That's still in your spirit. Most High said y'all going to be broke as a joke in America. I'll give you enough to get you some little AirPods here and there and to grab you a laptop every now and then. He said, but you ain't got enough to keep up with this. Read it one more time out. 23.
Verse 23. In 7 days of the feast.
7 days of the feast. We concerned talking about $100. Ooh, that's a whole lot. 100. Ooh. This more than 100 right here. Go ahead.
He shall prepare a burnt offering to the Lord. 7 bullocks.
Hey, what's a bullock? I just want to make sure. A bullock is the big ones, right? God, dog. 7 of them. They more than them lambs. Man, ooh, wee.
I got the oxen at.
That's a lot of money. Go ahead.
And 7 rams without blemish daily, the 7 days, and a kid of the goats daily for a sin offering.
Man, that's a lot of money. So now it make more sense when he said, don't let nobody judge you because you ain't got it like that. You bringing a cake. All praise be to the Most High. I got to bring a cake. Even when you got to bring a macaroni and cheese, it hit you for the hundo. It ain't a bullock. Man, let's go back. Go back to First Esdras. Ooh, wait, $3,000 right now?
Yeah, $3,000.
Ooh, them things big. Wee.
7 times 3,000. That's 2,100.
Man, that's a gang of money. That's 21,000.
Yeah.
God. Man. Go ahead. Where we left off at?
Man, that's a grip.
I think we left off on like 51, 52.
51.
Yeah.
Also, they held the Feast of Tabernacles, as it is commanded in the law, and offered sacrifices daily as was meet.
Go ahead.
And after that, the continual oblations and the sacrifice of the Sabbaths and of the new moons and of all holy feasts.
Saying the same thing again. That's what it was talking about. Read on, verse 53.
And all they that had made any vow to God began to offer sacrifice to God from the first day of the 7th month, all through the temple of the Lord was not yet built.
So then on top of that, it was whatever you vowed on top of that. That's a lot. Go to the book of Numbers, chapter 28. Numbers chapter 28, let's get 9 through 14.
Numbers 28, verse 9. And on the Sabbath day, 2 lambs of the first year without spot, and 2/10 deals of flour for a meat offering, mingled with oil, and the drink offering thereof.
So hold on. On the Sabbath day, 2 lambs of the first, and you had to get these done beforehand. A lot of y'all be struggling on the Sabbath. How many of y'all actually end up getting what you're supposed to get and cooking what you're supposed to cook? consistently before the Sabbath. All praises. I thank y'all for being honest. I only seen one hand go up over there. It'd be tough. Now imagine, they said, look, 2 lambs of the first year without spot. Because when you talk about these lambs, somebody had to slaughter them lambs. It wasn't like, oh, just cut on the oven, we gonna put him in. You have to slaughter that lamb, prep that lamb. It ain't no joke. It's a couple of jakes up in here that slaughtered them lambs, right? Now, how easy? Number one, even before you actually slaughter the lamb, you got to actually go and get them. Absolutely. That's once you killed it. Make sure your knife's sharp enough. You got to make sure you got him right. Get him calm. Get him. He bleed out here. And depending on how much, especially if you got a goat, he going to buck. I had one, he to the end, like he was going hyphy. He didn't want to die. Then after that, like you said, you got to skin them. What's the process of skinning them? It's very time consuming. Yeah. Only thing with this one, it would have been a little bit easier because on the Passover, it's specified that you can't break none of the bones. On here, it's not specified. So it would have been a little easier. But still, nevertheless, it's still a task. Put it like this. You ain't going to spend an hour and be prepared for the Sabbath. Not doing this. Nope. You're going to spend that day prepping. So if you in look, things look totally different than what they used to look like. Everybody want to have a job. You need 2 incomes and that. Like, if both of y'all working, who doing the lambs, baby? Somebody gonna have to put this work in. Fly done got me. He done got on my cup. God dog it. He got you too. Don't drink out of that. Man, hate a fly. Go ahead.
Verse 10. This is the burnt offering of every Sabbath, beside the continual burnt offering and his drink offering.
Every Sabbath, that's what you had to bring. How many of y'all knew that? A lot of y'all didn't know that. So when people come, because a dude tried to do that today, came and tried to make a mockery. Oh, so y'all, man, you don't know what the heck you talking about. Are you sitting up here, they be thinking they well read. You don't know what the heck you talking about. So y'all still, it would have been real hard. A lot of y'all, it's tough enough for y'all to go and make sure that you get somebody to put fringes on your stuff, let alone sit up here and try to. Most High gave us a whole lot of mercy that you don't realize. Whole lot of mercy. I got a whole lot of other scriptures, but it ain't necessary. Let's go ahead and end this. At another time, if you want to ask me, I can give you the precepts that I do have. Try to be thorough. I can give you different precepts on another time, but I think I don't want to overkill it. We almost at that time. But now, this is very important. Go to Hebrews chapter 10. And we're going to read 1 through 5.
Book of Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 1 through 5. For the law, having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never with those sacrifices which they offered year by year continually, make the comers thereunto perfect.
So he said them sacrifices wasn't never going to do what you thought they was going to do. It wasn't never going to make you right with the Most High. He said those were temporal. Go ahead.
For then would they not have ceased to be offered? Because that the worshipers, once purged, should have had no more conscience of sin.
Go ahead.
But in those sacrifices...
So hold on, let me explain that. He said if they would have worked in the way that you think that they should work, right, we would, number one, we would still be offering them. He said, but it was temporal, and it never was something that the Most High really desired or really took away your sins per se, right? Then he said in addition to that, if it would have worked, it would have changed your conscience altogether. we wouldn't be going back and doing a lot of the same stuff that we do. Because what our forefathers and foremothers was doing, they was like, all right, I know I'm about to do this. I'm going to go ahead. I got my lambs ready. I'm going to offer my lamb, and I'm back doing the same thing this week. I got enough for a lamb this, yeah. And Most High said, I'm not pleased with that. He said, I'd rather you be obedient than give sacrifices. Go ahead.
Because that the worshipers once purged have had no more conscience of sin.
Uh-huh.
But in those sacrifices, there's a remembrance again made of sins every year.
Uh-huh. So talking about that Day of Atonement as well, he said, man, I got that Day of Atonement in place. Because every year you're doing something you ain't supposed to be doing. Go ahead.
For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sin.
He said it ain't possible for the blood of bulls and goats to take away your sins. But watch this, read.
Wherefore, when he cometh into the world, he saith, sacrifice and offering thou wouldest not.
Uh-huh.
But a body hast thou prepared me.
Now, what body did he prepare? Anybody know that? Huh? Verse 6, watch this.
Verse 6, and burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin, thou hast had no pleasure.
Uh-huh.
Then said I, lo, I come in the volume of the book.
Jump down to verse 10 real quick. We're going to get straight to it.
Verse 10, by the which will we are sanctified through the offering of the body of Mashiach Yahushai once for all.
And for all. He gave himself so that you could actually, man, how much more difficult would it be for you to be in this truth, having to do all of this? He said, I'll die for you. I'll give my life for you. Because if I don't, a lot of y'all ain't going to make it. A lot of us wouldn't, man, we already stressed out about paying the little bills that we do got. You stressed out about your phone. My phone bill about to be turned off. About to slit your wrist. Straight up. So he said, I got this. I'll do this for you. Last scripture right here. Psalms chapter 51 and verse 17. I think Psalm 51:17 is the one I want. It's another one. You can write it down. Psalm 40 in verses 6 through 8.
Book of Psalm chapter 51 and verse 17.
Uh-huh.
The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart. O God, thou wilt not despise.
And when you get a chance, read that up from verse 1, because that whole thing is beautiful. But he tells you, he said, if you really want to know what the sacrifices that I care about, he said the sacrifices of having a broken heart, a broken